I've listened to Enema of the State by Blink-182 for years.
And I listened to it once yesterday.
Welcome to Spin It. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Spin It, the record ranking podcast for people who would rather be listening to music. I'm James, and with me, the Connor of the state. It's Connor.
You replace Enema with my name? I don't know how I feel about that.
Well, I could have said Enema of the Connor, but that would have been way worse.
Fair enough.
Yeah, see? Don't question it.
We're back.
We are back, boy. And you know what? This is the kind of thing you can only dream of when you start a podcast, and it's about albums, and you think, man, wouldn't it be fun to do an episode on Blink-182? And you look at the episode number, and it's 1. And then you said, if we ever get to episode 182, that's when we'll do Blink-182. And guess what?
And here we are.
Here we are. It's episode 182. So naturally, we had to do Blink-182.
Now, before we started, you asked a very interesting question.
I did.
I think we need to talk about in the episode.
It is a really interesting question, and I don't know if we'll ever know the answer, but I asked you, how many times do you think you've blinked?
Yeah, and I got thinking about this. Like, the entire time since you've asked that question, I've been kind of counting how many seconds between my blinks.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
It's averaging out about one every 4 or 5 seconds, so like 15 times a minute.
That is what I'm seeing. The average person blinks 15 to 20 times per minute, or
yeah,
between 14,400 and 19,200 times per day. So let's just split the difference.
Yeah, so if I'm at 20 a minute, I mean, that right there is like 8 minutes.
Like, you'd blink more than 182 times listening to this album, easily.
Well, I'm just thinking, like, within, like, the first 8 minutes of being born.
Whoa, you do your first 182 blinks in the first 8 minutes. That might not be true for babies, though. They keep their eyes closed a lot in sleep.
That's true, that's true. But when you first come out, you're crying and getting immediately...
Getting used to existing.
Physically abused. like you pop out, you're like, what is this strange new world? It's so scary, so loud. And they're just like, BAM! You know, maybe that's what's wrong with the world. You enter into the world in violence.
Wow, we're getting deep early on the Blink-182 episode. So by my best calculations, I've blinked 180 million times.
Ooh.
Well, closer to 175 million.
I was gonna say, are you at 182 million? Because that'd be pretty cool.
That'd be pretty cool. Unfortunately, no, I am not quite near that.
I mean, you could have just lied and said you were. Nobody knows how old you were.
That's true. Yes. What a coincidence.
Whoa!
Anyway, let's talk about Blink-182.
Weren't we already doing that?
What do you mean? It's the episode. We've waited 181 episodes to do this.
No, you said let's as if we weren't already talking about Blink-182 from the get-go.
We were talking about literally blinking, but we got to talk about the band.
Fair enough.
Blink-182 is a band that I know you can't have fully missed in your...
Oh, of course, no.
In your 175 million blinks of life. I know some of them have occurred during Blink-182 songs.
If you asked me to name a Blink-182 song, I don't know if I could have done it.
You couldn't do, even with all the small things?
But after looking at a list of Blink-182 songs, I was like, oh, I know that one, and I know that one, and I know that one. It's one of those cases that from my singles and radio listening that I just never knew that was Blink-182 necessarily. Or like it never stuck with me as like, oh, Blink-182 does this song. It just never stuck with me.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Like if you were like, who did All the Small Things? I'd be like Blink-182. But if you were like,
what does Blink-182 sing? You couldn't have said All the Small Things.
Yeah, correct. Yeah.
They sing some of the small things, but they also sing a lot of big things. Come on, you gotta laugh at some of my jokes.
Where is that contractually written?
Well, be that way. Blink-182, yeah, I'm the same way. I've known some of their singles for a long, long time. I would guess a lot of the songs that you do know by Blink-182 are probably on this very record.
They sure are.
Yeah, there's quite a few of their all-time greats here. But if you want to know the history of Blink-182, we got to go all the way back to the great year of 1992 in the great city of Poway, California. Poway, California? I didn't look up how to pronounce it. Poway.
Poway.
Poway. Ooh, that's probably not it, but maybe it is.
Powaya.
But we got to go back. Yes, the great year of 92, the great city of Poway, California. The great guitarist and singer Tom DeLonge was greatly expelled from his great high school by drinking a great amount of alcohol before a basketball game.
A great basketball game.
Maybe it was a great basketball game. I don't know. I just know that he got expelled for it. And after getting expelled, he went to his next school and he played in a battle of the bands.
I don't know why I thought you were about to say, and he got expelled from that one too.
Wow. I mean, wouldn't surprise me a ton. But he managed to stay there at least long enough to play in a battle of the bands and meet drummer Scott Rayner. And he became friends with a guy who was dating the sister of bassist Mark Hoppus. That long trail of acquaintances led the two of them to discover that they both really loved punk music, and they were both fans of the 70s punk band The Descendants. And so they said, hey, we could do that thing that the Descendants do. We could make punk music. So in August of 1992, they did.
Wow.
They got together for a jam session, and they hit it off instantly. They started playing and writing music in Tom's garage basically the very same day, from like day one. And they started calling themselves Blink, just Blink, from the start.
Doesn't have that nice ring to it.
Doesn't it? I feel like it's a great band name.
It's an okay band name.
Well, tell that to the band Blink, who threatened legal action over this trio Blink using their name.
Well, yeah, they were like, this name only has so many miles on it, and you can't be sucking up any of them.
That's right. It was an Irish band, actually, and they were called Blink, and they threatened to do some stuff, but Blink-182, future Blink-182, then still Blink, was like, hey, man, we don't want any trouble. So they just like rolled a die and stuck a random number on the end of their name. 182. Now, you're right, that does have a good ring to it, but Blink also does. They're not mutually exclusive. Blink 182. Well, the original trio, in then named Blink, they got to work recording a demo on a 4-track tape and booking gigs in high schools, in YMCAs, and other small venues. Not so sure about bowling alleys and laundromats like Parachute last week, but definitely small venue bookings. But they also managed to get a regular gig as an opening act at Soma, a pretty major local rock venue. And they quickly integrated themselves into the local Poway, California punk scene, and they found the time and the money to make a full demo record called Buddha. And then they got signed to the indie label Cargo Records on a trial contract. So Blink's first proper record, called Cheshire Cat, came out in 1995. They recorded the entire record in 3 days flat, and after getting some radio play and making a music video, they started to get some eyes on their music, including the Irish band Blink, which is when they changed their name. But they got to sign on for a national tour with a bunch of dates on the then up-and-coming Warped Tour. We've talked about Warped Tour before. I never got to go, but apparently they're bringing it back in 2025, so there's still time. Should we go to Warped Tour? I think you'd hate it, but I think I'd have fun. So do you want to go?
What is it?
It's a traveling music festival where they go around to different cities and all these different like alt, indie, and pop punk and rock and metal bands put on a big show. And they go to different cities all around.
Nice.
It always sounded like a ton of fun.
Why do you think I'd hate it?
I just think you'd hate it. You don't like live music anyway, and I don't know if it's live music that is stuff that you'd like. And it would be a music festival, so it'd be crowded and loud. And
I've never once said I didn't like live music. You have zero proof of that.
I feel like there's a couple episodes where you say, I don't like concerts much because they don't play it like they do on the recording.
Yeah, but I'm banking on you being too lazy to go pull that to put in here as a soundbite, so I think I can get away with saying it.
Okay. We'll see about that. You're probably right. But they get on the Warped Tour. Blink-182 is on the Warped Tour, which is awesome. When their trial contract was up, the band got into a bidding war. Well, record labels got into a bidding war over the band, more accurately. And they ended up on a major label, MCA Records, which, to the hardcore punk crowd, that was a sign that they were selling out. To be on a major label, you don't do that in punk music. They tried to put that rumor to rest with their second proper album called Dude Ranch, which very quickly went gold, but tensions were pretty high, and Tom DeLonge and Mark Hoppus decided to let Scott Rayner go over his drinking habits.
Oof.
So, Blink-182 needs an emergency drummer, and fast. Enter Travis Barker. He, at the time, was the drummer for a band called the Aquabats, who were touring with Blink-182. They said, hey dude, we need a drummer. You're a pretty good drummer. How fast can you learn these 20 songs that are in our set before our show tonight? And, I mean, Travis Barker.
He's like, I already know them.
He practically, yeah, he's a pro, man. He got it all down in 45 minutes of rehearsing. 20 songs in 45 minutes. Incredible. And we have talked about Travis Barker a few times before. Most notably, we talked about his extensive work on Machine Gun Kelly's pop-punk breakout, Tickets to My Downfall, the certified buffoon from episode 9, 1/20th of the life into our podcast at this point.
Yeah.
But we also talked about him working with like Avril Lavigne when her career started to resurge, and a few other times. He's a very prolific drummer. But Travis became an official member of Blink-182 by July of 1998, and they set out to create their next record, which would be their commercial breakthrough, and of course, our subject for this episode, Enema of the State. What a great album title.
It's a good title.
It's like Enemy of the State, but about enemas.
Heck yeah. Way to mansplain that one.
Look, that's what podcasts are, right? A lot of them. So
Yeah.
I just wanted to be clear. Like, some people out there might not understand. I don't know.
Wow.
So we know how many times you blinked. Have you ever had an enema? I'm just kidding. That's not a real question.
I've had more enemas than I've ever blinked.
Oh my gosh. 175 million? Anyway, Blink-182, they started working on this record after a pretty tense 9-month hiatus. They were feeling overworked with tour dates and media appearances, and they wanted to spend more time with their families and their girlfriends, except for single Mark Hoppus, who we will talk about in his singleness at length once we get into the songs. But they go into the studio, and it was the first time they actually had a big budget to make music, right, on this major label contract, and they spent about 2 weeks writing and 4 months recording to get the job done. Interestingly, though, because Travis Barker was still new to the band, and at the time he was still like a contracted musician, he doesn't get writing credits for any of these songs. He was just a hired musician and not like a real part of the band, even though he contributed to the songs, which is kind of wild.
Wild.
I know, that'd be like me not giving the Mixtaper credit for his part of our episodes because we contract him. The band hired producer Jerry Finn, who was known for his work on Green Day's Dookie, great album. You know, there's maybe a correlation there. How would you like to be the guy that works on Dookie and then Enema of the State? Does that make you reevaluate your career choices? Like, you're making a lot of poop-adjacent records.
Is there a problem with that?
No, not really. I mean, they were both massive hits, so maybe he knows what he's doing.
People like poop.
Hey, I guess they do.
I mean, like, I believe, don't quote me on this, but I'm pretty certain that Everybody Poops is like the most successful selling book of all time.
That can't be right.
Well, I did say don't quote me on it.
And that is a get out of jail free card to say whatever you want.
Might have just made that up for the sake of bringing up that book.
You might have. List of best-selling individual books. Well, the real answer is A Tale of Two Cities by Charles Dickens.
Is that about poop?
It's not. It's about Paris. It's really only one city. Spoiler alert.
Pretty city. So.
Paris, the city of crap. Everybody Poops doesn't even come up on a Control-F search of the Wikipedia page, so I don't know what to tell you.
It's politics in the literature world.
That's sad. Sad day.
Notable snub.
Yeah, seems like it. That's a tangent for another day. Anyway, Jerry Finn is working with the band, and they actually meshed really well. Jerry Finn would work with Blink-182 on their next 3 records. Enema of the State kind of kicked off their partnership. Also interesting is that, in a digital kind of era, right at the turn of the millennium, the band still decided to record this album on analog tape, which is interesting. I think that gives it a little extra something. And it was a lot of work, too, to do analog tape, because Tom loved a lot of big, fat guitar sounds. Travis Barker, to make this album, used literally a dozen snare drums, let alone all the other kinds of drums. He just rolled in 12 different snares. And then, of course, they didn't use click tracks to keep time either. They pretty much recorded the album live, which is so remarkable. And I think it's a testament to Travis Barker as a drummer that he's able to keep tempo so well and keep track of that without a click. Because I read that, they would record without a click, but then they'd test it against a click track in the booth to make sure that it was pretty rhythmically sound. And they said Barker was like a metronome, just on it all the time. And that's so cool. I don't know. I think if you listen to this album and this band, I feel like for me, I personally believe Travis Barker is the best instrumentalist in Blink-182. And that's not to say the others aren't good, but my goodness, he's exceptional. But the band has said the recording process for Enema was fueled by black coffee and Marlboro Lights, if that puts things into perspective for how much they were doing. Tom said when it was done, we were so stoked. It was like a masterpiece for our band. We knew this was going to be the best thing we ever did. Mark Hoppus said that Enema was the heart of Blink-182's musical sensibilities, and he praised its simplicity, its purity, its singularity of purpose between the 3 of us. And it also ended up being their shortest album, too, which is wild. It's a very quick listen, clocking in under 36 minutes, but it is dense for what it is. Enema of the State came out on June 1st, 1999. It shot straight up to number 9 on the Billboard 200. It sold 109,000 units in its first week, and signs were trending very, very well. Tom said the record guys sat us down and prepared us for 3 things. First, they said, you'll be more famous than you ever thought. Second, you'll have more money than you ever thought. And third, you're going to play more arenas than you ever thought. He said, I laughed at them and said, that guy's on crack. But it turns out they were definitely right. The band definitely got way more rich, famous, and arenaful after this record.
Yeah.
Enema would go platinum by October. That's 1 million units sold within a year. Triple platinum by January, and then 5 times platinum by early 2001. That's so unbelievable. 5 million copies sold within 2 years. It also charted and was certified 4 times platinum in Canada, 2 times platinum in Italy, platinum in the UK, and then gold in 6 other countries. Contemporary critics liked Enema of the State. Some thought it was a little bit juvenile, but what are you going to do? I mean, look at these kids. They're skate punk kids. They can't take themselves seriously.
Exactly.
Right. It's a goofy album because they're a goofy band.
They're goofy goobers.
Yeah. But, retrospectively in time, Enema of the State has come to be known as an album that defined pretty much the entire era of pop punk music. This is like a pillar of millennium punk. And that's really cool. It absolutely did launch the band into superstardom. They started booking longer tours in bigger venues, even stadiums, and they upgraded from a tour van to a private jet. They're spending nights in 5-star hotels. They even got to show up for a cameo appearance in American Pie. Their personality and their antics really drew a lot of fans to them internationally. That's pretty cool. Their reputation as certified goofy goobers and the wave of success from Enema carried their next album, Take Off Your Pants and Jacket, to the top of the Billboard 200 in 2001, making it the first punk album to ever top the Billboard charts. But with more success also came more expectations and higher demands on their time and their energy, which started to stress the band out and put tension on their relationships. At one point, Tom DeLonge broke off into a separate project called Boxcar Racer, but he invited Travis to drum with him, and he left Mark out of the loop. Unintentionally, but still, Mark felt a little slighted. Tensions rise again. Their 5th record, an untitled LP that's come to be known as a self-titled record, was their last release before an indefinite hiatus that kicked off in 2005. They kind of like burn out bright, right? They got huge really fast and then said, we're too big, we need to stop. There's just too much conflict and infighting and too many creative differences about their direction. And so they just hard stopped. During that time, they did some solo stuff. Travis Barker was in a reality TV show with his wife, and in 2008, he actually survived a terrible plane crash and developed a lot of PTSD around flying and stuff. But he decided that, hey, this near-death experience happened. Life is way too short to be on non-speaking terms with my best friends and my bandmates and not doing what I love. So they started kicking around the idea of officially reuniting, which they did for the first time in 2009. Their second stint lasted until 2014, and it produced only one record, Neighbors. Mark said everything was always very contentious, and there was just a strange vibe. I knew there was something wrong. In 2015, Tom DeLonge stepped away from the band and pursued his lifelong passion, investigating aliens. For real, that's what he did. Travis Barker and Mark Hoppus replaced him with Alkaline Trio vocalist Matt Skiba, and they released their 2016 record, California, which was actually almost the first Blink album I listened to way back in 2016 when it was new. Mercifully, it was not, and I waited, and Enema of the State was the first Blink album I listened to. But California made it to number 1 on the Billboard 200, of course their second album to do so, and it got Blink-182 nominated for their first ever Grammy. They stuck with Matt Skiba through their 8th album, 9, whose release cycle kind of got stunted by the 2020 COVID pandemic. And then in 2021, after Mark Hoppus announced that he'd been diagnosed with and subsequently beaten cancer, the original trio reunited and made arrangements for Tom to rejoin the band in 2022. They kind of just sprung that news on Skiba, who was kind of left out of the loop. He was starting to question whether he was part of the band or not after all the time that they had kind of spent apart. Turns out he was not, but it was all well received and pretty amicable, I think. He was just grateful to have been a part of it when he was. Blink-182 put out their 9th and latest record, One More Time, in October of 2023, a little more than a year ago, and it also went to number 1. They're riding high. They went on a really massive tour and agreed to take a break afterwards, but not like a hiatus break, just like in a take some time for ourselves and not do work break. Tom has said that Blink will be the priority forever. Honestly, I think this is a whole new beginning for the band. With what we're planning on doing, who we've become, and how we're doing it now, I think it's really, really exciting. So who knows what's next for Blink-182? But the good news is, it's something. As you can imagine, Blink-182's got a pretty lengthy list of awards. They've won 24 major awards on 69 nominations, a fact I'm sure they find hilarious. That list includes 1 Grammy nomination for California as Best Rock Album. They lost out to Cage the Elephant, which, I
mean, it is pretty impressive to get an elephant in a cage.
Well,
Gotta be a big cage.
that would have to be a big cage. You're right. That's true. Or a small elephant. Think about that. Blink's been nominated for, but never won, 2 Brit Awards, 2 Billboard Awards, 2 Echo Awards, 2 Pollstar Awards, an Alternative Press Music Award, a Global Award, and a few others, but they've won 10 San Diego Music Awards, 3 Teen Choice Awards on 10 nominations, an MTV VMA, a pair of awards from iHeartRadio, and 2 Kerrang Awards.
Kerrang!
Kerrang! My last 2 fun facts about Blink-182 at this point in the episode.
I've had a lot of fun facts that would have been great for Factor Spin.
Yeah, well, now we get fun facts that are in addition to those for Factor Spin.
Fair enough.
But my last 2 fun facts are that All the Small Things has become the theme song for the NHL's Colorado Avalanche. Gotta love it. I think they started that in like 2019, so that's cool. And also, Blink-182 has toured with Green Day from episode 51. We talked about them. They've toured with My Chemical Romance from an episode upcoming sometime in the near or distant future. We haven't talked about them yet. And they've also toured with Lil Wayne, who we talked about on episode 57. So that's cool. Couple of neat touring partners. But yeah, that's all I got. That's all my fun facts. Now it's time for the Mixtaper's fun facts, or fun lies, games of Mad Libs, fast-fired facts, whatever it is, the Mixtaper's got you covered. And here he is now.
Hey, it's me, the Mixtaper.
Wow.
Mixtaper 182.
Mixtaper 182. It's great to hear your voice.
Yeah, I had to change my name because the other Mixtaper threatened to sue me.
There's another Mixtaper out there?
No, it's just me.
Oh.
Well, you see, I thought I'd sue myself, collect the settlement money, get rich.
Well, but that's just your own money, like minus legal fees.
What?
You'd just be paying yourself your own settlement money.
The government doesn't pay the settlement money?
No, unless you're suing the government, I guess.
But what if I claim I don't have the money? Doesn't the government then, like...
Well, then you can't settle.
But, like, what if I was like, I sue myself for 50 grand, and then they're like, you win, give them 50 grand, and... I'm like, but I don't have 50 grand. The government wouldn't be like, well, we'll make up the difference. They do it with the banks all the time. Why can't they do it for me?
I think you're the enema of the state.
I've never been more proud to be called an enema in my life.
Wow, good. Well, before you sue yourself, maybe you can get a little extra money for the settlement if you can beat me in this round of Factor Spin.
Gotta pay off those student loans somehow.
That's right. Blink-182 is a band about which there could be many wild facts. So I'm a little afraid. They like to live intensely.
We're hitting on a lot of subjects we've hit on before. I'm going to be taking you on a trip of aliens and birds and ghosts and helicopters.
Oh boy.
And not necessarily that order.
Right. That's a lot of things that fly. You've just kind of picked a lot of flying things.
All those things fly. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. Maybe that's the theme this week. I didn't even realize it.
Flying things. Love it. Let's fly into... What do you want to start with?
Let's start...
Wait, isn't it funny to do all the flying things the week after we have a parachute?
It kind of is, isn't it?
Yeah.
Let's start with Mark Hoppus knows a thing or two about funny birds.
Funny birds, huh? What's he know about funny birds?
A thing or two.
Okay. Well, what kind of funny birds are we talking about? Funny looking birds like emus and ostriches or penguins or...
We're talking funny flamingos.
Flamingos are a pretty funny bird.
Specifically the giant inflatable kind.
Oh, he knows a thing about funny giant inflatable flamingos.
Yeah.
I thought he knew things about real flamingos, and I was excited to learn about real flamingos, like how they need to be near a mirror so they look like they're in a flock that's big enough, or, you know, how their knees bend backwards, all the flamingo fun facts, but I guess we're not talking about those.
No. Sounds like you are the flamingo, the real-life flamingo fun fact expert here.
Apparently. I knew a thing or two about funny flamingos. Well, what's Mark Hoppus know about inflatable flamingos?
Well, really just that they're funny when they don't inflate properly.
Yeah, I mean, that's true. Why? Does he have a problem inflating flamingos?
Well, Blink-182 did, and he tried to make a career out of it.
A career out of poorly inflated flamingo floats?
Yeah, that and other hilarious stage prop malfunctions during his brief stint into stand-up comedy.
What? We've taken several hard turns in this fact already. Stand-up comedy. So, Mark Hoppus tries to be a stand-up comedian, and he tells jokes about inflating flamingos.
Well, just about some of the hilarious situations he and his fellow Blink-182 band members got up to during their time traveling and performing.
Oh, I see. Have you seen his stand-up? Did he do like a special or a Type 5? Like, have you watched it?
No, it never got any farther than like small clubs in Los Angeles.
Okay. What inspired him to want to do stand-up?
Well, Blink-182 was on a hiatus, as you talked about.
I did. They've done that once or twice.
And he always thought stand-up sounded like a cool thing to do, and so he thought he'd give it a try.
Well, it sounds like he wasn't very good at it if it never got past the small local club level.
Well, his giant flamingo story was a hit.
Yeah, what's the giant flamingo story? I mean, other than not being able to inflate them. Is that it?
Well, Blink-182 had a giant inflatable flamingo as one of their stage props.
Yeah.
They actually, I guess, had multiple. And instead of one of the giant flamingos inflating properly, it only inflated halfway and then like fell over onto the drum kit and knocked over like the drum kit while they were performing.
That is pretty good and unfortunate.
So apparently that one's pretty good, but the rest of his set reportedly bombed.
Just like that flamingo.
Dang. One audience member even reportedly shouted, "Stick to the bass."
Nice. That's brutal. But at least they acknowledge he has talent on the bass.
And when asked why he gave it up, he said that stand-up comedy was, quote, even scarier than playing a Blink-182 set in front of a broken crowd barrier.
Yeah, it does sound rather intimidating. I think this is true. I'm going to say that this one is a fact, and here's why. I think the Funny Birds is a clever distraction tactic. I bet it's in his stand-up set, but you're like, how can I say that he does stand-up without just saying he does stand-up? And you found the Funny Birds thing. I feel like there's a line to be followed there. Plus, despite apparently bombing, allegedly, as a stand-up comedian, they're funny guys. I feel like they could hold their own on a stage for a little while, or at least they'd try. Their banter with audiences seems to be pretty solid, so I could see this, at least taking a swing at it. I'm going to say this one's a fact.
He's saying it's a fact.
I guess it could be true that he did stand-up comedy, but then there's no story about flamingos, which would be a shame. But anyway, I'm sticking with I already locked it in. Fact.
He's locked in fact, and I'm locking in a point for me. This is a spin.
Ah, man. I know a thing or two about funny points for you.
Yeah, no, you kind of touched on it. The band is well known for their comedy and banter on stage and with the audience. And so I wanted to talk about that, but that's well known and not that interesting. So I said, let's do stand-up comedy. And then I was like, well, if I do stand-up comedy...
And then we'll knock over a flamingo.
Well, I was like, if I say he does stand-up comedy, you're going to ask what kind of jokes he told. And I was like, so let's come up with a joke. What would he talk about? Oh, he'd probably talk about his time in the band. So what's the band known for?
Nice.
Kind of just all came together like Legos.
Yeah, I suppose so. I don't know where Legos came from in that, but yeah, they did all come together.
Well, I was going to say like Lincoln Logs, but I was never any good at those.
Lincoln Logs. Wow, what a throwback. That's okay. You don't have to be good at those. Those are the kind of toys that people that listen to Blink-182 know. Those are our generation's toys.
Yeah.
So we've covered birds. We've got helicopters, aliens, and some other flying thing.
Well, I said ghosts, helicopters,
Ghosts.
aliens.
That's right.
These are a few of my flying things.
Nice. Yeah. Well, what's funny is the flamingos did the opposite of flying. I mean, they were literally made of air and they fell over. So, oops.
Oops.
It's those backwards knees, man. I'm saying.
I guess let's go to helicopters next.
Okay.
Tom DeLonge once performed suspended from a flying helicopter.
It'd be really, really funny and sad if he performed suspended from a not flying helicopter. It's just sitting on the ground and he is hanging from it. Anyway, you said we've talked about all these things before. I don't remember too many helicopter facts.
We've had a couple helicopter facts.
Have we?
Yeah.
Name one.
Maybe not.
Yeah, I win.
We've talked about helicopters. Like, I swear somebody's facts in here talked about a helicopter, like being a pilot of a helicopter or something.
I don't think so. We talked about planes a lot.
Have we really never talked about helicopters?
First time for everything.
Man, isn't it great, when you're starting a podcast and you're like, I can't wait to talk about helicopters. But you're on episode 1.
Yeah, it's too soon.
And then you get to episode 182 and you're like, finally.
The time has come.
Talk about helicopters.
Helicopter 182. Why is he suspended from a helicopter?
Why not?
Yeah, okay, touche. What is he performing? Like song-wise? Singing and playing or just singing?
Just singing.
Blink-182 songs?
Just singing. It's like performers will be suspended like on a stage from like cables or whatever.
Yeah.
But outside on like a outdoor stadium, a theater.
Well, like a helicopter is flying above him in a performance venue?
Above the stage. Yeah, a helicopter comes
That
in.
seems incredibly dangerous.
A helicopter comes in, drops one of those ropes, and he hooks into it, and then it goes up in the air, and he like hovers above the crowd and stuff, singing.
What?
Yeah,
That sounds so unsafe.
it probably was.
Yeah, when did he do this?
This was one of their national tours.
Okay, could be almost any time. So he was with Blink-182 as a band. He's just the one that gets on the helicopter and goes into the sky.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, it'd be impressive if you somehow got the drummer suspended from a helicopter.
That'd be pretty cool. He's just air drumming then. They just lift him up and he's just swinging his arms.
I'm just imagining it drops to like 8 cables and he hooks it up to all the different drum parts. So that's right, it comes with him and he's up there just literally air drumming.
That'd be really cool, but super impractical and, again, still very dangerous.
Yeah.
An outdoor venue, I don't know. I'm just thinking about like flyovers at football stadiums, and sometimes those have helicopters. And I've even seen, in Nashville Stadium before a football game one time, they did a flyover that was way too low, like danger levels of low. And I don't know, it was like a problem. So I'm just trying to figure out the logistics of how they would make that happen in a smaller, perhaps outdoor venue with a helicopter. I don't know. It feels risky.
I don't think anybody's arguing the safety.
I know. Well, I'm just trying to wrap my head around it. So he did this one time, right? Or was this a recurring stunt throughout the tour?
Well, I'm not even 100% certain that he ever did it in a real performance. He talks about the practicing for it, but I couldn't find anything that says they ever actually did it. So I'm wondering if like they attempted it and went, "This isn't safe. We can't do this when we have like a amphitheater full of people or whatever." They're like, "We can't do this with actual people around," and they like scrapped it.
That could be. Well, it'd be so loud you'd hardly even hear the music, and there'd be a ton of wind.
Yeah, he talks about it in his 2015 autobiography.
And then my mind goes to the video of like the rescue helicopter with someone on a stretcher underneath it, and it's a horrifying video, but where the wind like catches her and she just spins and spins and spins, right?
Oh, I know it when you're talking about.
Yeah, you can't have that during a performance. I just don't know about this. So maybe they did try it and decide it was unsafe. I mean, it's certainly expensive and risky.
Hey, you don't get to 182 blinks without taking a few risks in life.
Yeah, you do. We said it happens when you're 8 minutes old. You take no risks.
I mean, you know nothing about the world. Everything you do is a risk.
Well, okay, when you put it like that, you are probably at your bravest at your 8th minute. Yeah. Okay, you tell me. You tell me whether I think this is a fact or a spin.
I don't know what that means.
That means I believe definitely they thought of this idea. I definitely believe maybe they even did try it, like you said. And I sure believe it was talked about in his autobiography. I'm not so sure that they could have done it in a performance. So I don't know if that's legit. But if the parameters of this being a fact include what I think is true, then I'll go with fact. If it includes an actual performance with an actual audience, I'm going to say spin.
I will say that the line of this being true or not does not rest on it being an actual performance.
Okay.
Like, that is not what would be the clarifier that I'd be like, aha, I got you.
He never performed, he only practiced. Got it.
And I think that's the fairest way I can say anything like that without giving away too much information one way or the other.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, it's a little ridiculous. I don't know. If this is wrong, then maybe I'm silly, but I think this could have happened. It's no more out there than Jay-Z's space shuttle that sits next to the stage all night. Like, I can believe...
I forgot about that till just now.
I don't feel bad about believing this a little bit.
It's come to that time where you must lock in an answer.
I'm going to lock in that this is a fact on the aforementioned conditions.
Going with fact. On the aforementioned conditions, I can confirm that this is another spin.
Boo.
Completely made up.
Really fun, though. Could be a crazy idea.
Yeah, right?
I totally think Blink would have that idea and want to do it.
Uh-huh.
And again, I reiterate, there's absolutely no way in the world to do that safely.
No, absolutely not.
I feel like in any size of venue, any kind of crowd, you have to, make people sign a waiver before you try that in the crowd.
So, yeah.
Well, that leaves us with Ghosts and aliens. And to be honest, I'm a little scared of both of them.
Would you like to visit E.T. and Salmon or Ryan?
It's not Ryan the Ghost. It can't be Ryan the Ghost.
It could be. It might be Ryan.
It can't be Ryan the Ghost. We have to do that one last if it's Ryan the Ghost. So we'll start with E.T. and Salmon and aliens existing.
Tom DeLonge is an alien aficionado.
I thought you were just going to stop after alien, and I was going to be like, nope. But alien aficionado. Yeah. So Tom DeLonge believes aliens exist.
He proved it.
He proved it. I mean, we all know conspiracies are dumb. What does Tom DeLonge prove?
Oh, well, he's just deeply involved in like UFO research.
Uh-huh.
He actually has his own organization for UFO research.
Yeah. Right. To the stars.
Mm-hmm. Academy of Arts and Science.
Oh, it's got like an academy name on it?
Mm-hmm. To the Stars Academy of Arts and Science.
Interesting. Yeah. Wow. Okay. I'm thinking I want to say this is a fact.
Well, ask me how he proved it.
Well, that's why I want to say it's a fact now. How does Tom DeLonge, I guess I'll play. We'll roll these dice. How does Tom DeLonge prove that there are aliens?
By getting the Pentagon to release declassified UFO videos.
Okay. The Pentagon?
Uh-huh. Remember the Pentagon declassification of UFO videos back in 2020?
Yeah.
It was like, oh my gosh, I can't believe another wild 2020 thing. Who had UFOs and aliens on their 2020 bingo card? That?
With the killer wasps. Yeah, I remember all the bingo stuff.
Yeah. The Pentagon actually credited Tom DeLonge and his organization to the Stars Academy of Arts and Science with helping get that stuff released.
Wild. Wow. Well, I do know that Tom's a huge fan of aliens and a big-time believer, you know? And I know about the organization. Convincing the government to release classified UFO videos is certainly a feat. I don't know much about the details behind the declassification, like what exactly got declassified. And
I guess they're credited in the sense that the Pentagon, right? They're like, hey, here you go, general public, have these 3 declassified videos of unexplained aerial phenomena.
Uh-huh.
And the videos had already been leaked back in 2017.
Okay.
2 of the videos had been leaked by the New York Times, and the 3rd was linked by Tom DeLonge's organization.
Got it. So by having the videos out there previously, he was able to leverage the government to release the official footage.
Correct.
Okay. Yeah, I think this is a fact. I'm going to stand by that. The Pentagon, again, what a shape. But yeah, I think it's true. I know that Tom's an aficionado, an alien guy, so it's not that hard to extrapolate that into tangible results.
Think about it this way. It's not that hard to find that and turn it into a spin.
Boy, that's true. You make a great point.
I don't often throw out counterpoints like that when you're making your decisions, but I thought I'd give you that one.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I'm going to counter your counterpoint with so what? And I'm going to lock in fact.
All right, lock it in fact.
Yeah, sure.
You gave me the so what, and I gave you... I don't really know how to finish that one.
A point? You can give me a point.
I give you the point.
Hey!
It is a true fact.
True fact. Marvelous. It's a dangerous move to present a fact like that on an album where I've taken notes on a song called Aliens Exist.
Yeah. Might have taken a little peek at your notes just to confirm.
Just to confirm that I did know about To the Stars and that I did know that his company was behind the military releases that came out in 2017 about UFOs.
Oh, I missed that part. I missed that last part.
Not again.
Oh no. Oh no.
Well, I'll take a point.
I was like, okay, he knows about the Academy. That's okay. But
didn't finish the sentence. You got to redo the period.
I didn't get to the period.
No, but that's okay. Tom DeLonge, boy, really interested in aliens. Probably more than anyone we've ever talked about.
I don't know. Casey Musgrave, very into aliens too.
Well, what's funny is she's definitely had UFO encounters. I don't know if Tom DeLonge's had UFO encounters. I think he just likes them.
It's true.
I don't know if Casey Musgraves likes them, but she's seen them. So really the two of them need to get together and just like share their notes.
Yeah. All right, well, that's made things interesting going into Ryan the Ghost.
It's not Ryan the Ghost. It's not. He's not here. Is he here?
Blink-182 recorded parts of an album in a haunted house.
Okay, so that's not ghost detecting equipment.
Not yet.
Not yet. Is this the return of the ghost detecting equipment fact or not?
Oh, it absolutely is. I just thought I'd give it a different name this time.
What?
Well, okay, fine. Blink-182 bought ghost detecting equipment.
Oh, bought or owns? Because it's always owns in the past.
Owns ghost detecting equipment. Originally, I was gonna sneak Ryan in on you, and you like be partway into it before you realized it was the Ryan fact. But then I kind of let it slip when I was telling you. Yeah. So it just really threw me off my game. All right.
It did. Okay, so this is a long recurring fact in the podcast, and I got to do the spiel again.
Yeah. If you're a first-time listener, welcome to Ryan.
This fact first came up on episode 42. About Gabrielle Aplin.
I like that the spiel gets longer every time because more artists get added to the list.
I know. So when it first came up, the fact was Gabrielle Aplin owns ghost detecting equipment. She detected a friendly ghost named Ryan with it. And it wasn't true. But Ryan the ghost was rumored to return in the future. And it was guaranteed to be true about an artist who is, quote, big enough that we have to do them at some point. Now, nobody expected that point would be 140 episodes down the line, perhaps. But in the meantime, Ryan the Ghost has come up again for the Red Hot Chili Peppers, who also recorded part of their album in a haunted house, by the way. If this is true, I don't know. But then it came up with Bob Dylan, the Silver Scream, Ice Nine Kills, Elton John. We talked about Ryan on our 90s episode, and Jukebox the Ghost, and Taylor Swift, and Reba. Led Zeppelin was so close to being true, right? He lived in a cult house on Loch Ness. It was like almost real, but Ryan wasn't a part of it. We talked about him on Queen. So many big names and big episodes.
Mm-hmm. And here we are.
Here we are. And the question that I always have to answer is Blink-182 a band that you could have seen coming 140 episodes ago? And kinda, maybe. So they record part of their album in a haunted house. What album are they recording?
Their 2003 self-titled album.
Okay. Why are they in a haunted house? Is it happenstance and they realize it's haunted, or did they seek out?
They rented a house in San Diego that was rumored to be haunted.
Okay, so they knew going in.
Yeah.
And while they're in the house, they experience paranormal activity?
They sure do.
What happens to them?
Doors start opening and closing on their own. People's personal items start getting moved around the house when they didn't move it.
Ooh.
Or so they claim. And everybody feels this dark presence overshadowing them.
Eerie.
So eerie that they decided to record some songs and use that dark presence to add to the ambiance of like their mood when they're recording.
Really?
Keep them in the right headspace.
Okay. Can you hear it on the album? Like, did they put any of that ambient recording, any of that dead air on the record?
Oh, that's what you mean. Yes, and that I thought you meant like, oh, can you tell it's in a haunted house? I was very confused by the question.
There's no way to tell that.
I was very confused by the question.
Right. No, what I just mean is, did they take that recording and put it in of white noise?
It's not that they like put the ambient noise in the recording. It's that they wanted that dark presence that was weighing them down to influence like their tone and the way that they like went into the recording for the recording.
They wanted it to be like moody.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. They wanted to feel haunted when they made some of these songs.
Yeah. And so during all this, they're like, hey, we should try to contact this dark presence that's moving all of our stuff and opening and closing doors.
Sure.
So they get a Ouija board, and that doesn't work.
It doesn't work. The Ouija board doesn't work. Sad day. Is that their only ghost detecting equipment?
No.
Okay.
How else would they know and contact and find out about Ryan?
Yeah, see, you just never know.
The Ouija board doesn't work. And Travis Barker says, hey, I've gotten my hands on a ghost detecting kit.
Travis Barker's behind this. And a whole kit, huh? What's in the kit?
An EMF reader.
Okay.
A Spectrum camera, whatever that is. A ghost box. Supposedly a notebook and pen that is spiritually channeled so that ghosts can write in it. Feels like a ripoff. They're just like, here, have a pad of paper and a pen.
Yeah.
And we're going to charge you $50 for it.
I'll be honest, the whole thing doesn't sound not like a ripoff.
They take this very seriously. And a black light.
All the things you can buy in Phasmophobia.
The game did its research.
Yeah, it did. Yeah, they did. What are you going to do?
Yeah, it comes in a little carrying case, actually.
How do they find out his name is Ryan, then? What of those tools is the giveaway?
Well, the ghost box.
Okay. They get a hit, then. Some of the ghost detecting equipment detects a real ghost.
Correct.
Is that all it says? It's just Ryan?
No, the ghost box gives them 3 words.
Ryan the Ghost.
No.
Blink-182 sucks. And they went, hey.
No, it gives them 2 words in a row, and then they were fiddling with it later, and it gave them a 3rd word.
Okay.
We'll start with the 3rd word.
Oh.
The 3rd word was simply Ryan. which is why they started calling it Ryan the Ghost.
Okay, so interesting.
They weren't like apparently asking it if that was its name. It's just that's what it said, and so that's what they decided to name it.
That's what it was telling them.
But the other two words, and this is the really interesting thing, were the words "miss you."
Miss you? That's a little terrifying.
It was a dark presence weighing over them.
Yeah, and that's all that they had was some stuff shuffled around the room and a few words coming through a staticky radio.
And an overwhelming dark presence that
Sense of
overtook
dread.
all of them.
Sense of dread.
Yeah.
Oh, this is tough. I'm really tempted to take another stab at this one because,
Ooh, you've been saying it's been the last couple. Yeah.
well, I said fact on the Led Zeppelin one because it really was so close to true, but I don't usually say fact on Ryan the Ghost. Mm-hmm. What's got me this time is, I mean, Travis Barker was deeply involved in Machine Gun Kelly's album. You talked a lot about punching ghosts and trying to shoot weed ghosts on the Machine Gun Kelly episode where Travis Barker was before too. Then on episode 42, Gabrielle Aplin didn't have anything to do with Ryan the Ghost, but we had already talked about Travis Barker, and you already found facts about Machine Gun Kelly, and Connor, to some degree, already knew Blink-182 existed. Like, this is a band that he could have known about before Gabrielle Aplin. Then there's the matter of a band that we'll have to do eventually. I think Blink-182 is a band that, yeah, of course we were going to do a Blink-182 episode eventually. Then there's the people who I know, and you know, that have listened to the podcast extensively and talked to me about Ryan the Ghost and said, I cannot believe you don't know this Ryan the Ghost fact. And I said, I don't know any idea. I've never heard of it. Blink-182 is absolutely a band that this person knows, and they would know that Ryan the Ghost were true about this band, I think. The fact that you kind of tried to sneak him in here also reinforces that theory, because they own ghost detecting equipment. I mean, you've said it 11 times. It's a played out fact. But if you wanted me to fall for it and maybe say spin when it was true or not realize that it was Ryan, mixing up the title is a great way to start. I don't know, man. I don't know. I feel like I might have to say that this one is the fact. I think we maybe 140 episodes later, I maybe think we got him.
So you like it in fact?
Is the saga at an end? I don't know. It's a bold move to bring him back. It's only been 8 episodes since the last time he's come up.
That's 2 whole months.
Well, 7 episodes, really. And I know you like to spread him out more than that sometimes, which you couldn't do if this was true. I don't know. I'm feeling lucky tonight, I guess. I'm going to roll the dice and I'm going to say that this is a fact, and we finally found Ryan the Ghost.
Locking in fact?
Yeah, I'm going to lock in fact.
I never thought it would take so many episodes to find Ryan the Ghost.
Well, I mean, it might take even more than this. The episode's not over yet.
Knowing who we know that listens to this podcast, I would have thought Ryan would have shown up sooner. Knowing you, I would have thought Ryan would have come up sooner. And just knowing how popular they are, I would have thought Ryan would have come up sooner.
Yeah, that you're not starting by saying it's true, and that's really making me think that it's not true yet.
My favorite thing about the Ryan facts is that every time when it comes time to lock in an answer, you do the Charlie Kelly meme where like all the mail or whatever strung up and like he's doing the conspiracy thing.
All the red strings, and I've got to like point to clues, and yeah, I know. I have to suss out what's true and what's false and what you've been lying about in the past and what's stayed constant, and
And I'm really impressed with how you singled in on the Travis Barker Machine Gun Kelly tie-in, and you really painted a really nice picture with how we've arrived at finally getting Ryan locked down.
Yeah, but I don't know if we have Ryan locked down, and you keep not saying it.
Gotta build it up. I mean, come on, it's been 140.
It's been 140 episodes. Please free me from this curse.
140 episodes, and finally we are still hunting for Ryan because this is a spin.
It's not him. It's
not him. Ryan slips through our fingers yet again.
Oh, this one was so good.
Oh, and it's another one that is so close to being true.
It all feels legit. I mean, they believe in aliens and Tom likes paranormal stuff. Ghosts are not off the table for this band.
And they rented a house in San Diego that was rumored to be haunted, and there was a very dark, unsettling atmosphere that overtook them all and inspired the darker themes on the album, including their hit song, I Miss You. But there's no Ryan.
I'm devastated.
I wanted it to be true. With how great of a web you spun there, I wanted it to be true.
You and me both.
I set up like 3 We have 3 returning facts in the wind right now, and I can't believe that we've been like 140 episodes since any of those. One of them's not been 140 episodes, but we've been a lot of episodes since I set those in motion, and we still haven't nailed a single one of them.
Yeah, 2 of the returning facts are from episode 42.
Yeah, we've got Ryan the Ghost, we've got lost their seat to a hat.
And the Santana worm, I think, is still unresolved.
Yeah, we got some sort of animal fact out there for, I think it's a worm of some sort.
Yeah.
And we haven't hit any of them.
We haven't.
And all 3 of them are really well-known people and artists and groups and all that, art, whatever term you want to use.
Well, Blink-182 passed the litmus test of being known enough.
Yeah. It's just, that just goes to show how many popular artists there are that we haven't even touched.
I know. And honestly, I think maybe in retrospectively, hindsight's 2020, maybe I should have said spin because obviously I was going to wait till episode 182 to do Blink-182.
But then you would have been banking on me thinking that you were going to wait till episode 182 to do Blink-182.
Well, what I'm saying is like nobody would have expected this episode to come much sooner. I don't know. Boy, that's a bummer.
It's a shame. It's a real shame.
All the signs were there, all the clues.
I'm worried that Ryan's going to be a letdown when we finally get to him because of just how many times I've spun about him and built him up to be this legendary character.
The only condition with Ryan the Ghost is that when we get to the real artist, it has to be presented as a fact. That's the only rule on the table.
Yeah. Well, his name has to be Ryan.
Well, that's your own rule. Yeah. Because his name really is Ryan.
The things in previous episodes that I have confirmed are 100% true about the fact.
Yeah.
They owned ghost detecting equipment. Like, that is a true fact. They owned ghost detecting equipment. The ghost name is allegedly Ryan.
And it doesn't matter if the ghost told them that or they named it that, but its name is Ryan.
Yeah. Its name is Ryan. And I will be presenting it in a manner that would be a true fact. It would not be, it's a spin because of a technical detail, but this is Ryan.
Yeah.
It would not be that.
Right.
Those are the only 3 things I have ever confirmed to be 100% true about the fact.
Oh, it's tough.
Any other details? I've slipped in a lot of true details along the way. Or maybe none at all.
I know. I can't tell. I have no way to know. But if the fact was Blink-182 recorded parts of an album in a haunted house, then yes, they did. That's cool.
Yeah. I like that when I bring Ryan back, there's at least a little bit of truth somewhere in there so that it's not just a dead. You didn't learn anything.
Well, it's not dead. That's the whole point.
Are ghosts undead? No, they're just dead, right? We're just
they're
talking
just
dead
dead
things. They're not undead.
Yeah. Well, Mixtaper, we'll see you next week. That was a good one. A lot of flying and a lot of lying.
A lot of flying and a lot of lying.
And a little Ryan.
Yeah.
Oh, there he goes, off into the abyss. Well, welcome back to Connor.
How's it going?
It's going great-ish. How are you?
Pretty good-ish.
Okay. Did you think this was going to be the Ryan the Ghost time?
I know who Ryan is about.
You do? How does everybody know this but me?
We have a whole group chat, actually, about it.
Oh, gosh.
Me, the Mixtaper, the Gopher.
I thought you were just going to name the 2 of you. It's just a text message. We have a whole group chat about it, me and the Mixtaper. A group of 2. You also don't need a group chat. You're roommates.
Yeah, but, what if we're not in the same room? Just because we're roommates doesn't mean we're always in the same room.
No, but you can go talk to him most of the time. Actually, I've never seen you and the Mixtaper in the same room. Isn't that kind of wild?
That's why we need the group chat.
Yeah, you know what? You make a good point. Let's talk about this album cover.
It's one I recognize. I've seen in the wild.
You've seen this? You recognize this?
I recognize this.
Is that just because you've gotten an enema before?
From that exact doctor lady.
Point of view, you're about to get an enema. Yeah, well, that exact doctor lady, the woman on the cover is adult film actress Janine Lindemulder.
What a name.
What a name. What a profession.
An enema by any other name would be just as weird.
Yeah, wow, a real Shakespearean poet. The band, when they thought of this cover for an album called Enema of the State, they were envisioning a sexy nurse, and then they just picked her photo out from a stack of all sorts of women. They had no idea who she was or what she did for a living until their producer pointed it out. So that was a coincidence.
Oh. Or they picked her out because one of them recognized her.
And didn't want to admit it. That could definitely be true.
Mm-hmm.
But who knows? She also ended up in the music video for What's My Age Again. And yeah, she's on the cover pulling on a blue latex glove. That was the idea of photographer David Goldman. He said, up until the very last minute, the album was going to be called Turn Your Head and Cough, which is a great album title for this band as well. But it's not. He said, that's why I came up with the idea of a glove. Obviously, an enema is not really a glove type of thing, but I thought it was a good visual. And it is. You could practically hear that glove snap when she lets go of it in your mind's ear.
My mind's earworms like the snap.
Yeah. Also, interesting about this album cover, the version that you see today is not the original, and it's not even the second one. The original cover photo featured a red cross on the nurse's hat with a B in it. Stands for Blink-182. But then they had to change it to a different, like, lowercase b instead of a capital or vice versa, I forget. But then they had to change it again because the Red Cross found out about it. They said, hey, we're the Red Cross. You can't use that Red Cross on her hat. That's something you're not allowed to do unless it's, like, we're the only ones that are allowed to use the Red Cross. And they're right. That's written into the Geneva Convention. So until they changed this album cover, Enema of the State was in violation of the Geneva Convention. Blink-182 committed war crimes with this album.
That's pretty crazy.
I know, right? Who knew? So that's the album cover. It's just perfect for this album, honestly. Yeah.
I like that her eyeliner matches the glove, which matches her butterfly tattoo.
You mean eyeshadow?
I don't know makeup. Calm down.
I know. Clearly. Yeah, no, I know. It is a nice little pop of color that ties the whole thing together.
And it matches the Blink-182 outline.
Yeah.
Nice. It's a good color blue.
Mm-hmm. What an aggressive way to put on a glove.
Is that not how you put on gloves? That's how I put on my winter gloves every morning.
Yank them all the way down to your forearm with your fist?
As far down as I am to go, yeah.
Wow. No, I can't say I'm quite that aggressive.
I think I make that exact pose. Anytime you have to put on latex gloves, that's like the go-to way to do it.
You do have to snap a good latex glove. You're right.
Yeah. Hand straight up, glove on, a little snap.
Just to make sure it's on right.
And then look at the nearest person and say, don't touch me, I'm sterile.
Of course.
And then go on about your day.
With gloves on, though.
As nature intended.
I guess, yeah. Well, we've got a dozen tracks on this album. Let's talk about them. Up first, the opening track is Dumpweed.
What'd you call me?
You heard me. Dumpweed does sound like one heck of an insult. It, like much of the upcoming album, is about frustration in relationships, right? That teenage angst that follows the guys until they're 26 years old. But angsty, punk rock, skater punk, you know? It's definitely a very fast-paced, driven kind of punk rock song. I really like the opening riff, really like the drums, really like the power chords that they use in here. You could tell that they play loud guitars fast, and I really love that. Man, when you get to that chorus, you can really just hear Travis Barker hammering away at the drums. I can't believe he could play so fast and so in time.
It's crazy.
I know, he's not even a prodigy anymore. At the time, he was just a really good drummer. Such a good drummer. About Dumpweed, Tom said, girls are so much smarter than guys and can see the future as well as never forget the past. So that leaves the dog as the only thing men are smarter than. So that's why he draws these comparisons about needing a girl that he can train, is that he just wants to be smart. I don't know. It's interesting. But that's where the sentiment comes from, is he says the dogs are the only thing that men are smarter than. He also thought the verse had a very nursery rhyme feel to it, but he was really proud at the end of the day of how the song turned out. In 2016, he would call Dumpweed probably the best opener we've ever had. I think Dumpweed's a good intro track. I think it sets the tone for the album really well.
It does. It definitely is a good tone setter.
It kind of blows me out of my seat, but it doesn't blow me away. You know what I mean?
Dang.
It's like, whoa, but I'm not like, whoa.
You're like, whoa, but you're not like, whoa, dang.
Yeah, exactly. I think it's a strong opener.
I mean, I get to the end of the song and I kind of feel like saying, don't leave me.
You don't want the song to leave you?
No, it can leave me. I just feel like saying that.
Oh, okay. Well, good news for you. Don't Leave Me happens to be the next track, so you'll be saying it a lot if you're singing along.
Yeah. Another fast song.
Oh, boy, yeah. It's another breakup kind of relationship stress song. A Mark Hoppus breakup song, in fact.
Another breakup kind of relationship stress song.
That's right.
I don't know how else to describe it.
No, me either, except for all the ways I'm about to describe it. Legend has it that Mark Hoppus wrote this entire song in 10 minutes. That's only enough time to play the song all the way through 3 times. I really like Don't Leave Me. I like the style of the instrumental, how they do it, da-da-da-da, like there's a nice percussiveness to the rhythm of it, and it kind of makes you stop in the middle. It forces your attention. I also really like the way that he structures his lyrics. His verses are really short, like his phrasing. Don't leave me all alone. Just drop me off at home. We get these little 3-syllable spurts until we get to the chorus, when we get a lot of short words and just longer phrases, but still very quick.
Yeah.
I think that's a staple of the band. Quick syllables. And
they have a very signature sound as well, I feel like.
Yeah, it's choppy, it's distorted.
Yeah.
Their vocals kind of have, well, especially Tom DeLonge goes into that, nasally kind of range. And yeah, definitely 1999 skate punk.
Yep.
I found good quotes from Tom about all the songs on this record, even the ones he didn't write. And on Don't Leave Me, he said, Mark wrote that song, so I can't really speak about what was going through his mind when he wrote that one, but I can judge on the lyrics. He wrote that song when he didn't even have a girlfriend, so I don't know who he's talking to. Sometimes you write a relationship song that really doesn't have that much deep meaning. I think it's just like that feeling when you're really in love with a girl and you're just thinking, please, please, please don't stop liking me. That's the gist of the song. And that makes sense. That's his only prayer. Don't leave me all alone. Don't leave me all alone. But it sounds like she's leaving him alone. She said it stopped being fun. I bring her down. She said don't let the door hit you on the way out. She's kicking him out. But he's trying it one more time with feeling, and she's just having none of it. So it's a sad song, but boy, does it have a happy exterior. It's energetic, and it's fun. I can't believe it's got half the plays at Dumpweed. I can't believe it's not more popular than it is.
Well, you better believe it.
I do believe it, but you know what I might not believe? As much as Tom DeLonge does, definitely.
What?
That aliens exist.
What? He proved it.
He didn't prove it, he just made the government release footage of UFOs. Here's the thing, UFOs definitely exist. Anything you see effing that you don't is a UFO. That means anything you see flying that you don't identify is an unidentified flying object.
Good thing you clarified that, because that's not...
Yeah, I wanted to be sure. Any O that can F that you don't is a UFO. So any object flying that you can't identify, by nature, definitionally, is a UFO. So those definitely exist, and videos of them.
Actually, they're not called UFOs anymore.
No, I think I remember that, but I don't remember what they changed it to, and it's not as good as UFO.
They changed it to UAP for
aerial phenomena.
Uh-huh.
Right.
Mainly just because UFO had become too much of a joke term or like media term, like, you know, movie term.
Like a tinfoil hat, Roswell, little green men.
Yeah. So they had to change it.
That makes sense.
Well, they didn't have to, but for some reason they felt the need to.
Yeah. Yeah, so UFOs definitely exist, and the government definitely has videos of them, and that's what Tom proved, I think unequivocally, that the government has videos of things that they can't identify. Woohoo.
My guess is they've now since identified them. Why else release the videos? If they're still trying to figure out, you'd think they'd leave it classified.
Just in case.
They probably unclassified it because they were like, we figured this one out.
We know what this is. Then it's an IFO, an identified flying object. Well, you know, Tom DeLonge, he loves the UFOs and conspiracies, and so this is him expressing that through song. He realized that he loved aliens back in middle school, loved all the paranormal stuff. Mark Hoppus says, honestly, he believes everything he reads. And apparently, a lot of what he reads is alien-themed. And we talked about his company, To the Stars. They helped release the UFO footage from the Pentagon. And Tom said, as a hobby, all I ever do is read books and study materially on UFOs and government conspiracies. So I wrote a song about a guy talking about aliens as though he's had a weird experience, but nobody believes him. They think he's full of crap. But he's directing his angst towards the government, much like the Mixtaper did when he was trying to settle that lawsuit. He said the government knows there's something going on. And I just think it's a cool song coming from that point of view. I think it's a catchy song.
It is catchy.
That's what I love. You know, even the verse, this is maybe the best verse we've had so far.
Yeah. I almost like the verse better than the chorus sometimes.
Oh, definitely. Well, it's kind of the opposite thing that Don't Leave Me does, where the, Don't Leave Me is a really short little phrase. And here, hey mom, there's something in the back room, hope it's not the creature from above, is like a really long, drawn out thing. But the chorus goes, something very wrong. Like that's where everything gets shorter and more vague. The verses are way more specific.
I like the line, been best friends and will be till we die.
What, with the aliens?
You're my alien.
Wow, thank you.
My E.T.
Yep. Yeah, isn't it funny that Travis Barker's so intimately involved with alien songs too? I mean, he's got this one, and then he did the concert for Aliens with Machine Gun Kelly and Kevin and Barracuda. Travis Barker's done a few alien songs for us.
Here we are.
I guess so. I like the song. Critics thought it was really fun, and they liked how much that it shirked traditional pop punk and skater dude lyrical tropes, you know? This isn't a song that you'd hear from every punk band. It's very unique in its content.
Yeah.
And I think it shows how much of a sense of humor the band has, even though again, he's very serious about it. And I think it's a good breath of fresh air before we get into some more serious songs on down the line. Like, for example, Going Away to College. Another Mark Hoppus classic that he wrote in 10 minutes about, well, going away to college. He was homesick from school, and he watched the movie Can't Hardly Wait, and he kept thinking about, quote, how much it sucks when people are in love in high school, and then, college comes, and people split up, and it drives couples apart. And so that's what he writes about in Going Away to College. A couple forced apart by circumstance. And it's so funny to read this. This is a relationship that probably didn't last. I'll write you once a week, she said. That's the thing that people promise when they're in that situation, and it never pans out.
I don't know. Going Away to College is just kind of mid-tier for me. It's not bad. It's not bad, but
it's not bad.
I don't know. It didn't listen, if Dumpweed made you go wow, but not wow dang, Going Away to College didn't even make me go wow. It just made me go, yeah, this belongs on this album. This fits.
Wow, dang. I guess. I just like it a lot. I don't know.
I think Blink-182 is a band that suffers in full album listens. And I think that's because their sound is so unique and defining, but yet so the same on every single song.
Constant.
That's like when they come on in like a shuffled playlist, you're like, heck yeah, Blink-182, let's go. But when it's just Blink-182, 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 Blink-182.
It's, oh, I'm so excited for the next 2.5 minutes. Rock on. Instead of, I'm going to sit down and listen to this for 36 minutes.
Yeah.
I get that. I guess especially at this phase of our lives, kind of beyond the scope of like an emo phase.
What are you talking about? I'm just now entering mine.
Oh, really? Well, then you're going to love this album in a couple weeks.
I'm a late emoer.
a late brooder. Yeah. Well, going away to college, maybe it's not everyone's cup of tea, but one song that seems to be everyone's cup of tea, or at least one song that I saw posted on so many people's 23rd birthdays, is What's My Age Again? What's My Age Again was Enema's lead single. It peaked at number 2 on the US Modern Rock Tracks chart for 10 whole weeks. It never did get past the number 1 song, which was Scar Tissue by the Red Hot Chili Peppers, another song we've talked about, but also, What's My Age Again made it all the way to number 58 on the Hot 100, which is huge for a song that sounds like this. It was another 5-minute write for Mark Hoppus. 5 minutes. Its original title was Peter Pan Complex, which I love. That's a big Peter Pan fan. But when he was writing the song, he played it on accident. He was trying and failing to play the song J.A.R. by Green Day, and he stumbled his way into the riff that kicks off What's My Age Again.
I'll be honest, I'm starting to wonder if it's not that they necessarily have a distinct sound, or is it just he wrote all of his songs in 5 minutes so they all ended up sounding the same?
5 to 10 for Mark Hoppus. That's a great question, though. A lot of their melodies do kind of follow the same patterns and punk tropes, and I don't know, this is the album that, it's the REM effect, right? In a lot of ways, Enema of the State wrote the book for a lot of the stuff that we know that came after it.
Sure.
So it was like the revolutionary thing that today feels dated because it was the first to do everything. Not everything, but like What's My Age Again, especially with the power chords and the punk chord progression, it's been done to death today, but not here. It's cool. It's a song about growing up, getting old, about maturity or lack thereof. Travis Barker said Mark was a grown man but kept acting like a kid. And it's also really ironic because he was 26 writing the line, nobody likes you when you're 23. So, I mean, I guess he had all the experience of nobody liking him when he was 23.
Yeah.
But he really just did it because he liked the rhyme. And it went on to become one of Blink's most iconic lyrics. But I can't help, I feel like I have to be critical of them for it. For songs like Going Away to College and Nobody Likes You When You're 23, when you're much older than 23, and the Party Song, I don't know, it just feels a little bit like the same thing I criticized on Good Charlotte eons ago. Mm-hmm. And it's come up other times too, like the Wildlife, maybe we mentioned it. It just feels like people older than they're in high school singing about how much high school sucks.
Yeah. Yeah, that was a big complaint you had on the Wildlife.
It was, and I think it's...
The Wildlife.
And I think it's way less prevalent here. It doesn't, like, irk me as much with Blink-182 because I know their antics and I know that they're so, like, immature in their behavior. So maybe a lot of the songs, like, hit different, but still. And maybe, again, it's because they wrote the book and everyone else that comes after them feels like they're doing a Blink-182, you know? Something like that. But a thing that you love, I know, Mark Hoppus was really intentional when he wrote What's My Age Again about progressing the story through changing the choruses. So you won't hear the same chorus twice. They're always slightly different.
That is something I appreciate.
Mm-hmm. The music video for What's My Age Again features the band running around Los Angeles naked, which they have done more than once in real life. But for the music video, they wore, like, skin-colored Speedos. But they did almost cause some car wrecks, according to them.
Cowards.
I don't think it's a coward thing. I think it's that they couldn't afford to be arrested while they were making this music video.
Cowards.
But it's Los Angeles. Honestly, it sounds like anything kind of goes out there. Well, we follow that absolute banger, one of the most popular Blink-182 songs of all time, up with Dysentery Gary, one of the not banger songs and one of the least popular on this album.
What a poor nickname for Gary.
Dysentery Gary.
What do you think you gotta do to get called Dysentery Gary?
Well, according to the song, you have to give a lot of people diarrhea and be named Gary. Or maybe not be named Gary and they just called him Gary because it rhymes with dysentery.
Dude, that's even worse. Like, what if you gave people diarrhea so badly they changed your name to Gary so they could call you Dysentery Gary?
That would be unfortunate. It's a really simple premise. Tom liked a girl who liked somebody else. Kind of a love triangle, but only a triangle for the one person that's not in the relationship. He said, I wrote that song from a point of view. What if you were a guy who liked a girl, but the girl likes a different guy? It's kind of like, I hate that guy, but I'm not sure why I hate him. That's where it's supposed to come from. This guy's really frustrated because this girl doesn't like him, so he's going to make fun of this other guy. So instead of finding a tangible, actual reason to hate him, he says, I'm going to call him Dysentery Gary and say that he's a player, a diarrhea giver, tried to grow his hair out, and he just sucks because he's a weasel. Dysentery Gary's a weasel. A lot of F words in this song, if you're planning to listen to it.
I think not enough F words.
You think not enough?
I mean, I don't see the word friend.
Oh, you mean he's not a friend. You're right. You're talking about variation in F words.
Yeah.
I was talking about a lot of instances of a specific F word, but you make a good point too. The word friend is in there.
Oh, yeah, you're right. Friends.
Tried to grow his hair out. Friends were listening to Slayer.
Yeah. No, I was just about to correct that.
I'd like to find him Friday night on his father's tight.
Friday's in there. A lot of F words.
Found someone.
No ferrets.
No ferrets, but weasels.
Got weasels, but no ferrets. I'll be honest, effing ferrets is maybe cooler than effing weasels.
It doesn't sing as well, but you're right. To call him a flippin' ferret would be just scathing, just brutal.
That was devastating.
Actually, it's a fine song. It's got a good guitar hook. That's Dysentery Gary.
I like Dysentery Gary.
You'd be about the only one. He's a weasel.
He's a ferret.
He's a ferret. Dysenteric ferret.
Dysenteric ferret.
Oh boy, what a sandwich we make here. To put What's My Age Again and then Dysentery Gary and then the next two songs here. I mean, Dysentery Gary is just dwarfed by the giants that it is surrounded by.
Yeah.
Adam's song is up next. It is another of Blink's all-time biggest songs and one that still gets talked about a lot even all these years on. 25 years on? This album's a quarter of a century old. 26 years on. This is 2025 now. Oh, Happy New Year, by the way.
Happy New Year.
Anyway.
Happy old year.
Yeah. I guess the year's 3 whole days old.
No, I'm just saying, like, retroactively, I hope you had a happy old year.
Oh, that the last year in its entirety was happy. Yeah. Well, this song's not so happy. Kind of a sad song to bring up the concept of Happy New Year on, I guess. But it is optimistic at the end of the day. Adam's song is mostly by Mark Hoppus. It deals really acutely with themes of loneliness and depression and suicidal thoughts. It's basically like the total antithesis to their goofy side. It's one of the most serious songs Blink-182's ever made. But that didn't even deter them a little bit from putting it on the album. Mark said, I remember the day I played it for Tom and Travis, and they were like, wow, that's a pretty heavy song. It's really good. He said there was never even a question of whether or not to put it on the record or whether that was a real Blink song or was the right direction for us to go. Whatever song we write, if it's a good song, we'll put it on the record. And that's Adam's song. Boy, it's a good song. It was inspired by and is meant to be structured like, for the most part, a suicide note. But it was meant to be hopeful and encouraging to people who were struggling and in a hard place. And that's why it ends on such a happier note, an optimistic twist. Tomorrow holds such better days when I can still feel alive and can't wait to get outside. And some of the lyrics are specific to Mark and his situation. He says, the tour is over, I'll survive. And he says when they were touring, that's when he would feel alone out on the road. But he said Tom and Scott always had girlfriends waiting back at home.
Aww.
So they had something to look forward to at the end of tour.
He was lonely. Yeah,
he said, I didn't. So it was always like I was lonely on tour, but then I got home and it didn't matter because there was nothing for me there anyway.
Oh.
Yeah. It's a personal song. Mark also did all the vocals for the track in a single take. Just walked into the studio, dropped Adam's song on him. That was it. Really cool, really emotional performance from him. Probably his best vocal moment on the album, I think. Did you catch the Nirvana reference in it?
I don't think so.
Oh, well, remember the song Come As You Are?
Uh-huh.
He says it here, I took my time, I hurried up. The choice was mine, I didn't think enough. It parallels the lines in Come As You Are. Take your time, hurry up. The choice is yours, don't be late.
Yeah.
Little sneaky Nirvana reference there. Adam's song managed to peak at number 2 on the Hot Modern Rock Tracks chart in the US. It even cracked the top 25 internationally in Italy and Canada. In the US, it only made it to the top of the Bubbling Under Hot 100 chart. So really close to the Hot 100, but not quite there.
Even though it's similar sounding, I actually found the instrumentals pleasant on this one, more so than others.
Well, I don't know. Instrumentally, this one's probably most similar to Going Away to College, maybe?
Yeah.
It definitely hits different than that, and I think it's just because of the way that he's structured the verses a lot. I think it's a beautiful song. It's a sad one and a heavy one. I don't know if it'll make the playlist or not, but it's got to be in my top Blink-182 songs, period, not just on this album. And then we follow Adam's song up with the first Blink-182 song that most people ever hear, which is All the Small Things. It's definitely the first Blink-182 song I knew personally. Probably true, again, for most casual fans. Is it one that you knew first?
Oh, absolutely.
I thought so. Because you've almost certainly heard it out and about, right? It's made the rounds. It's in The Simpsons. It's in Charlie's Angels, Buffy the Vampire Slayer. It's in a metric crap ton of Guitar Hero games. It's in commercials for Dunkin' Donuts and BMW. Alvin and the Chipmunks covered it. It was in their video game. Like, All the Small Things. Whew. Rolling Stone's Andy Green called it the song that took the band from theaters and clubs into arenas. And I think it's so rare for a band to have a song, a singular song, that you can point to and say, this is the one that made them enormous. But All the Small Things is that for Blink-182. Absolutely. It was the third single from Enema. Tom wrote it for his girlfriend at the time, and genuinely, like, it was crafted from the get-go to be a really catchy and basic radio single, in his own words, and mission accomplished. All the Small Things was a worldwide hit. In America, it peaked at number 6 on the Hot 100, making it Blink-182's only top 40 hit to this very day. It was a top 20 hit in 10 other countries. And in the future, Rolling Stone would name All the Small Things one of the 100 greatest pop songs. It's also got more than 1.2 billion Spotify streams, so it's in an exclusive club on that front too. Tom said it was one of the last songs we recorded because it was so simple that it wasn't much fun to play. And boy, I'm sure. But he said once we put it all together and played it as a band, we looked at each other and said, this song's huge. Once we recorded this song and heard it, it gave us the chills. We just looked at each other and knew we had this little piece of magic. We knew that this thing was going to be a gigantic thing. I don't know how, but we just felt it straight away.
I mean, I think I can just say right now, I think All the Small Things is my playlist pick.
Whoa, shocker. Basic.
Look,
I get that.
I'm a basic guy.
Yeah, I get it. It has to be. I'm curious to know what you would pick if you didn't pick this, though, so we can go over it at the end. But yeah, this one has to be on the playlist. I agree. What's your favorite part of the song?
I'll be honest, probably the beginning, just the way it comes in.
Oh, just the guitar opening. It's a pretty strong start.
Yeah, and then you get to the lyrics, dun 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 dun.
Yeah, they counter that guitar part really nicely. I like that a lot.
Yeah.
The na 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 part in the post-chorus, which is now iconic, it's a nod to the Ramones, punk pioneers, and one of Tom's favorite bands. I love it a lot. The British magazine Q said that All the Small Things has more hooks than the Fishing Channel, because it does have a lot of hooks. Every line is a hook.
You know where I think I know this song from, like, in my earliest?
Where? What's the earliest place you know this song from? Is it not Alvin and the Chipmunks? Because that's kind of what I thought it might be.
The song is in Alvin and the Chipmunks?
Not in the movie, but it's on the sequel to the movie soundtrack, and it's in the video game that goes along with the movie.
No, I never played the video game for Alvin and the Chipmunks.
I did, unfortunately. It's atrocious.
Mine is a video game.
Yeah?
Yeah, it's Donkey Konga.
Oh, wow. Okay. That's it's surprising.
You know what I'm talking about?
Not particularly. I guess I don't know the game, but I know Donkey Kong.
I'm here. Yeah, this is Donkey Konga.
On the bongos. This is the one with the bongo controller?
Yeah.
You've bongoed your way through All the Small Things with Donkey Kong?
I've tasty bongoed my way through All the Small Things.
Oh, that's incredible. That's remarkable. So you've played the bongos with Donkey Kong. Have you seen the music video for All the Small Things?
No.
Oh.
Do you remember back when like Walmarts and stuff had like the video game stations where you could trial video games?
Yeah, of course.
Do you remember when the barrels were in one of those? I don't know if it was specifically this game, but maybe it was like Donkey Kong 2 or 3. Because I did several of them. But there was one of them. I remember the bongos like being in Walmart and just slapping them around while my mom grocery shopped.
You just slapped the Walmart bongos to All the Small Things.
I slapped the Walmart bongos till it was time to go home.
Wow. Turn the lights off. Carry me home. Say it ain't so. I will bongo. Turn the lights off. Carry me home. Ridiculous. So you've Donkey Kong bongoed your way through All the Small Things.
Yep.
Have you seen the music video?
No, I haven't.
If you had seen the music video, you would see the band parody all kinds of boy bands and pop star videos. It's a big sarcastic parody kind of video. Also, though, regarding Mark Hoppus being a single Pringle on this album, as we talked about in Adam's song and Don't Leave Me and Going Away to College, he did meet his future wife during the video shoot for All the Small Things. He asked her out and she said no. And then later on they worked it out and got married. So that's cool. Coming down the home stretch here. Last third of the album.
You could also buy different alternate sounds for your bongos in
I
game.
have to ask you to close that tab. There's DLC where you could buy alternate bongo sounds.
Well, no, like in-game currency. Like you earned
okay.
coins and spent them on things. So you could make your bongos sound like a toy set, like an electric drum set. There was a Mario set, a Zelda set, a Kirby set, a Dogs set, a country set, a classical orchestra set, one just called Whip It set.
That's only good for Devo.
Yeah. You can buy different mini games to do with your bongos. Great game. Anyway.
Home stretch.
Home stretch. Closing Donkey Konga.
Okay. Up next is the Party Song. Mark Hoppus went to a party, wrote a song all about it.
It's a song that's got to be played at a party.
Does it? It's one of the most rhythmically off-putting songs on this whole album. The verse, man. That first verse where he's trying to sing a lyric on every beat, and it's just not working for me. The chorus gets a little better, but I just really can't do that verse for very long.
I like it after you get past the first one. Once the guitar comes in to help it, I like it.
No, I just don't. It's too fast. It's too much for me.
Nah.
Well, I mean, whatever. It's not for everybody. And by that, I mean it's not for me necessarily. But Tom said the party song is about going to one of those parties and people getting drunk and being stupid and girls trying to be the center of attention. He says it's just about girls trying too hard, acting like dimwits. I think we've all been there. We've all been to those parties where it's just all these guys creeping out on three girls who can't get enough attention. Have we all been there, Tom DeLonge? I don't know if I have, but that's okay. I don't need to because I've heard this song.
I feel like this song was played at a lot of parties I went to.
Was it? So you knew this one then?
Yeah.
That kind of surprises me.
It's not one that I would have said. I mean, I wouldn't have said anything if you said name a Blink-182 song, but
right.
Once you played it.
But you wouldn't have said this one.
I was like,
Interesting. Yeah, it's okay. I think there's just no recovering from what the middle part of this album has been. I think for me, I always feel a little let down by the Party Song Mutt, Wendy Clear Anthem because it's just, we've been to the highest of Blink-182 highs.
It's true. We've been to the top of Blink-182 mountain.
Yeah, and it took 182 blinks to get there.
Wow, only like 8 minutes.
Yeah, I know. Up next is Mutt. Tom wrote this song for his friend, a surfer named Benji Weatherly. Mutt is his nickname. He was in a movie called The Show, and an early recording of Mutt actually made the cut for the movie soundtrack. So that's cool. I think Mutt, for me, is the most forgettable song on this album.
I agree.
I don't even think about it. Like, I don't really notice that it's here. It's like in the way of all the other songs I want to hear. It's just about two teenagers who are really in the mood all the time, you know? Maybe not even teenagers, but two people who are really in the mood, itching for some action. And that's all it is.
That's all it is.
This has got an okay chorus. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, it's here.
It is.
It's another going away to college.
Yeah. It is actually seems pretty similar to Going Away to College, even in the sound of it.
Yeah.
But here's what's crazy, though. 5 songs have fewer plays than Mutt. It's almost in the top half of this album's Spotify streams. And I don't like that.
Yeah, I don't like it either.
I don't understand it. People don't talk about Mutt. I don't know. I'd rather listen to Wendy Clear.
I agree.
Wendy Clear has an awesome guitar hook. Wendy is the name of Mark Hoppus's boat, if you can believe that. Boat's named Wendy. The Clear part of the title, it's a radio call out. So the other boaters knew when the radio channel was open. So Wendy Clear would kind of be like radioing, hey, my boat Wendy is going off the air. You can use this channel. So that's what the title is. But in a more literal sense, the song is about having a big old crush on, quote, someone that you are not supposed to like. Those are hard situations to be in. He says he'd play with fire to break the ice and play with a nuclear device. I really like that imagery. Playing with fire to break the ice in a relationship that you know you can't have, but you want to try anyway. It's interesting. Tom said Wendy Clear is a song Mark wrote about the girl he had a crush on. He really liked her, but he really couldn't date her because she was a very influential person in the music industry. So them dating was a very tricky situation. And that would sure be a bummer. Yeah, I do think that opening riff is the best part about it.
That opening riff is pretty good.
I know, it's hard to beat.
There's the da-da-dun, da-da-dun, that's like in the offbeats.
Yeah, I do like that too. A lot of good instrumental work here on Wendy Clear.
It's kind of like how Anthem starts, but not as distorted.
Yeah.
Da-da-da-da-da, dun-dun-dun-dun that it does on Wendy Clear is they just take that and they're like, that's how we're going to start our next song, but we're going to distort it.
Yeah, Anthem's got a good punch in there. It's got a lot of grit. Trapped in those suburbs, baby. Anthem is suburban angst. It's the epitome of what this band is coming from and trying to be about. The true story behind Anthem comes from a time Blink was playing at a friend's party that got busted by the cops after a massive fight started and kind of ruined the night. That's what inspired this track. And it's pretty literal. White lies, bloodshot eyes, alcohol stolen from the mall, call their fathers. You know what I mean? Like, there's a lot in here that's just literally about the party. Tom said, Anthem is a song I wrote about having a party at your house, your parents coming home, and finding out. Suffice it to say, based on a true story, Anthem's good. It's a good closer. I think it sums up everything this album's been about, just in a chaotic punk teen kind of way. And again, though, just I wish my friends were 21. You're 26, guy. Like, I get it, but I don't get it. But what's also cool about closing this record out with Anthem is that their subsequent record, Take Off Your Pants and Jacket, starts off with a direct sequel, Anthem Part 2. So that's a neat little bridge to cross over between Blink-182 eras. Not many songs get direct sequels.
It's true.
Well, with that, I suppose it's time to get into Final Blink. Final Spin. Final Blink. That's the end of the road. Luckily, Final Spin doesn't have to be.
It's scary to think about your final blink.
Yeah.
I don't like it.
No. I'm glad I've made it through 175 million of them without any problems. Well, let's hit some scores. This album is energy, and it's angst, and it's goofballs, and it's tons of fun. I really enjoy a lot of the music on this album. Some of the biggest Blink-182 hits are here. A lot of really fun choruses and just fast stuff. I'm giving a 91 to music. Some of the verses fall a little bit flat, but they pair so well with what the instruments are doing. And they're so endearing. Like, again, trying not to let the REM effect blind me, where this is the one that did it first, and I've heard so much like it. I'm trying not to let this lose its luster for that. So 91 for music. 87 for the lyrics. Maybe a little high, but they keep it simple. They tell it like it is, or like they see it, at least. And they're not afraid to call people weasels. And I think that goes a long way to their attitude towards building the fan base that they want to build. The reason Blink-182 is a popular, well-known band, it's not because of their music, right? It's because of their lyrics and their style, like their attitude. The music helps, certainly, but I don't know. I really think it's what they're saying that enticed people back in the day as much as it's how they're playing it. Instruments and production, I'm giving an 84. It is one big sound. It is one big Blink-182 album. And the drums are really forward, which is great because Travis Barker, again, I'm reiterating, best instrumentalist in this band. And what he does is consistently the most impressive. But add loud, prevalent drums to a wall of, loud bass and distorted guitar, it gets fatiguing a little bit. By the time you get to the end of this album, it's a bit much. 84 for instruments and production, 94 for the vibe. I can't believe this album is so quick. 35 minutes. I honestly don't mind the length of it as much as you maybe seem to. But all these songs are little bite-sized glimpses, but they're all really memorable in their own ways. I like that Mark Hoppus and Tom DeLonge are able to write songs alone that sound like they go together so well. Look at songs like Aliens Exist versus Adam's song, right? There's a lot of similarity there, even though they're by two totally different guys. I think that's a cool dynamic that they make work really well. So, the album's overall score from me is a 90.7, which lands this record against all odds for episode 182 about Blink-182.
Oh my gosh.
This album is number 82. 100 higher than the real ironic position. But for now, it is that 82 slot. That puts it above Mr. Wives and Super Bloom. It puts it below Willie Nelson and the Red-Headed Stranger, as far as episodes we've done, for context. So I really enjoy this album. I think Blink-182 is a fun band with a lot to offer, and I think you're kind of right. I think this is a singles group of songs more than it's an album, than a run of an album. But hey, we got what we got. Still a lot of great stuff here.
A lot of great stuff.
Yeah, so that's me, number 82, 90.7. How about you?
You kind of summarized my thoughts for me there when you brought up the singles thing.
Yeah. Well, you brought it up first, to be fair. I was only a mirror for your thoughts back to you.
Yeah, but then I was going to re-bring it up here.
You can still re-bring it up.
Yeah. I think Blink-182 benefits a lot from songs just spontaneously playing on shuffle or the radio. Mm-hmm. You're always excited when they come on, but I'm never wanting to just put on their whole album. At least that's my take on them. I'm sure there's plenty of fans who hate me for that opinion, but that is the one I have. As for a top three, I think I'm taking Aliens Exist.
Whoa, another interesting top 3 pick. You're on a roll.
Taking What's My Age Again.
Yeah.
I'm taking honorable mention to Adam's song.
Ooh.
I actually think I like the Aliens Exist better than Adam's song.
What a tone shift. What a difference in tone and content between those two songs. Hey, Mom, look at the aliens in my closet. I'm going to try not to kill myself today.
Yeah. And then, of course, my playlist pick, All the Small Things.
Naturally. That's a strong top 4. 3 with a honorable mention. You know, it's only been 182 episodes. I know the drill around these parts.
As for a score,
this could get ugly.
Dang, you think it's gonna get ugly?
I don't think it's gonna. I just said it could.
It could. 1. No.
Oh, can't spell Blink-182 without 1.
Can't spell without a 1, an 8, or a 2, so I got 3 options.
Well, that's true.
But if you take 8 and subtract 1, and then subtract 2, leaves you with a 5.
It does, but you could have just subtracted all 3. I don't know. I guess you had to add them together. Okay, it does leave you with the 5. Is a 5 what you're giving Enema of the State?
I'm giving Enema of the State 5 dysenteric ferrets out of 10.
Wow, 5 is a little ugly. That is a little below where I thought this would end up.
Yeah. I think a lot of the individual songs rank way higher than a 5, but I think as an album, we're looking at a 5.
Wow, I'm shocked. As this being my number 82 album on a list of 800, this being in my top 10% of records. Whew.
This is probably in my top 82. I don't know how many have we done at this point. I guess we've done so many. I don't know if it is.
Your 5s right now. I don't know where in your 5s it's going, but right now your highest 5 is ranked number 148 on the albums we've done for the podcasts.
Wild. Yeah, I guess I've done 94 just in my 9s and 8s, plus my 10 gives me 95. Wow, so many.
Yeah, where in the 5s does Dysenteric Ferret and his Enema of the State end up?
He ends up, maybe a little fittingly, right below Weezer.
Oh, wow. Interesting. You're building a collection of millennium music around there, too. That late 90s stuff has all ended up in the 5s. Well, for playlist picks...
What's your playlist pick?
Yeah, you're taking all the small things. You've left me with a hard job. Oh, I did want to know what your other playlist pick would be if it wasn't. Like, take all the small things off the table. I am curious about your second choice.
Ooh, probably What's My Age Again. Although I do really like Party Song. I think that would make a fun playlist, but it didn't even make my top 3, so.
Didn't like it that much. So I think I'm going to stay away from taking What's My Age Again. It's never been my favorite of the Blink-182 songs. I know it's a bigger one, and it is fun. But All the Small Things has already kind of got the fast-paced pop-style song covered. I am leaning more towards a Going Away to College or an Adams song. And I mean, between the two, I have to take Adams song. I think it's just so beautifully written and such an interesting departure from the rest of this record that it's really memorable.
Memorable's good.
Yeah, so we'll end up with Adam's song and All the Small Things on the playlist. 2, again, just vastly different tones.
Back to back.
Back to back, as usual. But hey, that's what we do. But really what we do is rank an album every week. And if you want to be around for next week's album, be sure to drop a follow and a like and rate some stars. And you can find us on social media to see pictures of Donkey Konga and, I don't know, Tom DeLonge's UFOs and all the other stuff we talked about in this episode. You can find those pictures on our social media, at SpinItPod on X and at SpinItPodOfficial on Instagram. And you can find our website online using any browser of your choice at www.spinitpod.com.
While you're doing all these things, finding us and following us and talking to us and all these things, tell a friend about us.
Yeah, you could do that too.
Yeah, you could. You know what? If you had to pick only one friend to tell about us, make it the friend that you would trust most to pilot the helicopter that you're dangling over a crowd strapped to.
Oh, you got to be the one dangling?
Yeah, you're dangling. Who do you trust to pilot the helicopter? That's who you should tell about the podcast.
Do I trust them with my life or the lives of the crowd beneath me?
I mean, probably both.
Well, I mean, as long as I live, we can work out the rest.
I don't see a scenario in which the crowd doesn't, but you do if you're strapped to the helicopter.
Doesn't what? Doesn't experience safety?
That doesn't live.
Oh, live? Oh, we'll all go down together.
Yeah, it's either you're all fine or you're all screwed. There's not really much of a us or them sort of situation.
Yeah.
Anyway, tell them about the podcast.
Darn right, do that. Don't be a dumpweed.
Don't you dumpweed. right, what's worse, a dumpweed or a dysentery ferret?
I'd rather be a ferret than a dumpweed.
I think so.
But we'll see you next time. And until then, spin it clear and keep spinning.
And then... So I put the math department to work while we were recording that.
Okay, what's the math department working on?
Well, I wanted to know how many times we've blinked since we started this podcast.
Oh, gosh.
So taking an average of about 15,000 blinks a day, based on the numbers you put out there earlier, and the number of days it's been since our very first episode.
Right.
Times 2, because there's 2 of us.
June 21st, 2021.
Times 2 again, really, if you're saying each eye.
Well, no, but that's not a blink. Each eye winks, but they have to be collective together for a blink.
Well, just 2 of us times 15,000 times the number of days, which is apparently, according to Google, 1,292 days from the day this episode came out to the day our first episode came out.
That's a long time. What's our age again?
That's 38,760,000 blinks.
38 million blinks?
Almost 39.
Wow, that's really cool. Congratulations to us and our eyelids for getting that work done.
38,760,001. 38,760,002.
4, 6.
30.
I'm blinking with you. You're not the only one.
Well, I didn't know. Maybe you were like having a staring contest.
You caught me. Darn, I lost.
38,760,008. 38,760,010.
I don't think that was a real number that you just said.
I don't think it was either. 38,760,012. 38,760,000.